to continue to carry on, never giving up, will always help you get through anything in life. Got a great story for you. Tune into this one, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to Your Little Castle Show. I get the pleasure of meeting business owners, leaders in our community, those who are making an impact. My guest here, Tad, has helped me understand, hey, we all go through tough things in life. And Mr. Brown has, I was in a coma. You talked about a pretty serious accident you had. The key to that success, the survival, was never giving up. You came through it.
That's right.
And made it, and here you are to talk about today.
Amen.
He's got a successful business now that we're going to talk a little bit about and what he's been doing for many years, helping the community right here in the Midwest. So with that, we'll give a shout out to our sponsors. We love the support we get from our sponsors, Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle. And that little castle might have been worked on by Tad Brown here, Tad Brown Construction, who's been doing this for a long time. We also then we advocate that people save for your future and maybe put some money into this new rare metal called gold. Go to Gold Cowboy. We highlight our leaders on big leagues, double G there, BIGG leagues.com, and kind of spread the word for what our leaders are doing on this little planet. So with that, we've got your website and your Facebook up on the walls for everybody to see. And Tab, welcome to the Your Little Castle TV show.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about it. We're working on a Sunday, everybody, because that's what we do. That's what successful people do. And we appreciate you coming out and seeing us here. We went to the last Cardinal game of the year, everybody, was today. And so at home. And we said, hey, give us ourselves another hour to recoup. And then here we are ready to talk. Tell me, though, you talked about this is something, as an 8-year-old, you were fixing things at Grandma's house.
Yeah, I actually jacked up and fixed my first floor at 8 years old. My grandmother was falling through on the enclosed front porch, and nobody would come fix it. So yeah, at 8 years old, it just come natural. Pulled the carpet back, tore out the bad wood, and jacked the floor up, replaced the subfloor, and put the carpet back. Nobody could believe I did it, but yeah, that's where it all started.
Jack the floor up. You said the only thing holding that thing together was the carpet that was on top.
Yeah, she was falling through, and my dad actually owned a construction company and still does. But yeah, nobody would come fix it because, you know, when you're running a business and doing that for a living, that always comes first, you know. It just seems to go that way when it comes to any business.
Yeah, I've been there before. My mom's called me. She's like, Carter, you're a computer nerd. Come over to the Learning Center and fix the computers. I'm like, I got to fix the computers I got during the day. Business comes first. But, hey, as an 8-year-old, you stepped up. So that's where it started. So,
yeah.
But you've actually had your own company now for 10 years.
Yes.
And been doing this for 30. And if you count as an 8-year-old, those kinds of things, 32, 34. But 30 years, around 30 years, we say, that's a long time.
Yes.
This is something you obviously made a passion for your life to do as a profession.
Yes, I've been doing it 30 years experience. I started out with siding and windows, you know, when I was a teenager, and it just went from there. You know, I worked for my father's businesses for many years and fully went out on my own 10 years ago and just went from there. I mean, time flies. You know,
Time flies when you're having. What compelled you to start your own company? Said, I got to do this myself. I want to have my own business and take it from there.
Just seeing how everybody in other companies does things, and they only just do one thing. And, you know, people need somebody that they can trust and communicate with that doesn't just do one thing. You know, we specialize in insurance claims, and so we work for the homeowners to make sure they get everything they need. But, you know, we don't just do one thing. We don't, you know, just specialize in roofing or just siding and windows. We cover all phases of construction, inside and out, whether it's restoration or building. And, you know, I communicate with the homeowners one-on-one to make sure they get everything they need and everything they want.
Well, that's how anybody should run their business. But these days, we find many times there's some gaps, and that's where you stepped up and said, "Hey, I can do this better myself." I'm with you. I said, "Hey, man, I can do this better myself. I'm not in the construction space. Give me a hammer, I can make it work." But I'm a techie nerd. But you'd like the construction piece. But you started on this as a ute. They talk about as a very young person, and it just kept going.
Yeah.
And his last 10 years now, you said do it yourself,
Yes.
and you've been running a successful business for 10 years now.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, what about your passion fuels this for you? And then I guess, did you just develop that affinity as a kid? Were you building Legos? Where did you develop this passion?
Well, when I was a kid, yeah, I always built everything with Legos and then Lincoln Logs, you know.
Right.
Because I grew up in the 80s, and that's all we had. We didn't have video games. And
True.
I mean, we had Nintendo and Atari.
Right. Not near what we
But
have today.
yeah, I mean, I built all kinds of houses with them Lincoln Logs and stuff when I was a child. And now that you brought that up, I remember spending hours. I was always building houses with Legos and them Lincoln Logs. You know, now that you mention it, that's pretty cool. But maybe that is where it started from.
Yeah, well, we developed that affinity for whatever it is. I took a lot of ground balls. I mean, I loved playing baseball. But I remember the Lincoln Logs because they had those things cut. You put them in here, and you can make the little door frame with the little short ones to put to make stop the little bridge. This is how we learn as kids. And gosh, you get into Legos. My God, Legos went on, and you get steering wheels and shifters and all kinds of crazy stuff. But those things help us to develop. And then here you are now, 30 years in this, doing it for yourself. What do you think as a kid? Did you see yourself as a business owner, or was that led to because you decided you had to take control and do it yourself? Because personally, I was like, man, I want to have a bunch of people working for me. I wanted to just do what I do. But when I figured out I had to do it right myself, then I had to take over and had to hire and train some people.
Yeah, I didn't plan that as a kid, you know. I think when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a firefighter.
Okay. Yeah,
but
a little different,
you know,
in that realm, I guess.
But you know, as I grew up, that was my passion. That's what I like to do, is fix things, and took pride in the finished product. You know, and it always had to be perfect. You know, I never cut any corners. I made sure anything I did it right. And the end product was, you know, if I didn't like what it looked like, I would fix it.
You're gonna work on it until you got it.
You know what I mean? And it had to be right, and that's still how it is today. You know, it's got to be the finished product, especially, you know, if someone's paying for it. And my name's on it. It's going to be the best you can get for your money.
So that's the perfectionist in you that says that you can't just throw something together. It's got to be done right.
Yeah.
That turned into a successful business, and then you've just taken it from there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. We're gonna take a look here at some of the excitement. He's got the BBB. If there's any place that people do go and reflect with regard to when they're talking about businesses, that BBB has become one of the best resources out there that people will go to figure out who are they dealing with. But if you see right here, Tad Brown Construction, there's the information for you to check it out. And I like seeing down here, scroll on down, A+ on the BBB. That is hard work earned. How's that make you feel, seeing that you've got that A+ BB?
It makes me feel good. You know, it's very important that you make your customers happy. That's really the most important, is a satisfied customer. You know, they say the customer is always right. That's not always true. If the customer's wrong, you know, I try to do my best to
help them understand.
You know, steer them in the right direction. But personally, you can't make everyone happy. But when it comes to service and quality of work, you know, I strive to make sure that's 100% the best you can get. And, you know, I feel that that's what sets us apart, that we don't do any shoddy work. We make sure everything's done professionally and how it's supposed to be done.
Well, that's what led to that A+ on the BBB, and obviously successful and many happy clients that we talk about. You can see some of the other stuff they've got out there about you.
Yes.
Because you're all over the place. You got Angie's List and houses and HOUZ, I think, is that one of them? but a lot of people all saying good things about you. So congratulations there, and obviously
Amen.
that dedication you had as a child has kind of turned into what is where you are now.
You know, and Jesus was a carpenter, and I've
Right.
dedicated my life to following him as well. And I know that helps.
Yeah, I'll say
100%. If I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Lord.
I don't know what else you attribute it to. Some people try to explain things, just poof, and things happen. That's not how it works.
No.
If there's anybody that gave us a good model about how to treat people, and how to do things, that Jesus guy knows what he was talking about, right? And I say, whether you believe in all the stuff, I'm not getting into that discussion, but sure set a good example for us about how to be, and it works professionally too. Do the work right, do all the things that you can to honor, don't covet, and get into the whole list of things. But yeah, you literally will be successful. You just take care of your neighbor.
Amen.
There we go. Good stuff. We're going to jump in here in a minute, talk a little bit about some community stuff we've been working on for a long time.
Okay.
But when it came down to having a crew, and how big is your crew, and how many people do you have currently working for you at this point?
Well,
do you contract out, or
we do
that?
some subcontracting out. You know, some specialty things. We do hire other contractors, but you know, we usually run with 3 or 4 guys on the crew.
Okay.
And the bigger jobs we do subcontract out to a select handful.
But people you've worked with for a long time that
yes.
you know well,
Mm-hmm.
right? That cut costs for everybody, because then you're not
It
a full-time employee that you got to pay all the time, but you can bring them in as necessary, have them do the specialty work that they do.
Correct. You know, and we've got roofing companies and electricians and drywall companies and everything that we work with hand in hand. But personally, I work one-on-one with the customer, and I deal with everything with the customer. They don't have to talk to this guy and that guy. You know, they can talk to one person and feel comfortable and knowing they're getting everything that they're supposed to get.
Well, that's where, as a proponent for small businesses, I'm a big advocate that you work with small business owners, because when you deal with the owner, let's say you've got a problem, you're not talking about somebody got to call the first level support, who's going to pass it on to second level support, who's going to pass it on to his administrator, who's going to look it over and then take it over to the vice president. When there's a problem, they've got something they need fixed or changed, or just an update, you get to talk to the owner directly, and they're going to work directly with you when you're working on these projects. It makes it easier to get the job done correctly, everybody, by the way, right? And that's what we like to emphasize. So let's talk about some of the community stuff we've got going on. Check out some of our fun we had here. This is one of our guests we had. The end of the season just happened here. We're getting ready for 2026, but some fun we had outside of patios, everybody. Check it out. Hey, everybody, we're outside patios. My new best friend here, Jackson. I knew we'd be good buddies because he's got a cool jersey on. Turn around, show everybody. Sure. Hey, I asked, who's your favorite player? Nado. Hey.
Nado, baby.
All right, now, what do you... A lot of people, come on up here for me a little bit so we get that mic closer, but my videographer, I'm paying him double what I paid the last guy. So, truth is, a lot of people thought maybe the Cardinals weren't going to have it this year. A little surprise. What do you think has made them the team that they are so far?
I mean, I think they got a bunch of young guys that are ready to play and keep going, man. I mean, I think they got they're enthusiastic. Everybody thinks they were down, and they're just coming out of the woodworks ready to go.
So, a lot of people got a little, there's no superstars besides Nado. They got some talent on this team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Brendan Donovan, youngest guy, one of the youngest guys out there, best player in the league almost, man. He's got
leading the league in hits, I think.
I was about to say, leading the league in hits, second best in batting average out of everybody in the whole league, I think.
I will add this.
Maybe?
If you had a band, Jackson, have you ever seen Brendan Donovan and Jackson at the same place at the same time?
I gotta grow it out a little bit. I gotta grow it out just a little bit longer, man.
Hey, stay tuned for more, everybody. Giddy up. Patios, everybody.
Yes, sir.
His name is Carter Rathwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rathwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey everybody, Cardinal Cowboy here. I want to invite all of you to be part of my new team. No, you don't have to put on a baseball uniform and be a super fan. Now, it would be a good idea to cheer for the Cardinals, the greatest team in the history of the National League. But I'm talking about the Gold Cowboy team. You know, I love to help people follow their dreams and reach their goals in business and in life. So that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you about my friends at My Metal Pro. They help people like you and I acquire gold and silver with a membership that lets you safely buy, sell, and store gold and silver. They make it real easy to get started. My Metal Pro isn't like the big guys you see on network TV or the big coin shops that take a huge commission. So become part of my Gold Cowboy team. Scan the QR code or go to goldcowboy.com and check it out. Giddy up! Well, there you go, everybody. Now you get to see some of the fun stuff we do in the community and why we like to highlight those leaders that are making a difference and bring some experts in to talk about it. So let's talk a little bit more about it. Give me that cost analysis. There's always those people who are the do-it-yourselfers, and then you've got the big guys who charge a premium. I've heard I had a guest recently, they mentioned that another company was doing the same work for double the cost. Is that when somebody's just uninformed? What is it that people should expect, and why would they? There's no reason to pay double, is there? Tell me why do people pay what they pay?
It really just depends on the contractor's overhead and, you know, how many guys they got working and how big they are. I mean, if you're hiring a multi-million-dollar company, of course, you might pay 2 or 3 times, you know,
That's
just
nice.
because of their name, because they're the biggest, you know, or if they're union, of course, they're going to charge you more.
Right.
But a lot of times the customer is looking for the cheapest. So
Not always a good idea to get the cheapest, is it?
No.
They're cutting corners somewhere. Somewhere there's taking.
Well, yeah, and we don't cut no corners, but you know, I tell them right out of the gate, we're definitely not your cheapest, but I guarantee you the best job for your money. So I don't know why somebody would want to pay 2 or 3 times more. Of course, some of us are going to be higher because we know what we're doing and we know what it costs and what it's going to take to get the job done properly. You know, but some of them want to get 4 or 5 different contractors' bids and want to go with the cheapest, and then turn around and call me later and say, "Hey, can you come fix this?"
Come fix this. There's no value. What you were talking about earlier, that's the value, right? When you get the best bang for your buck, you're saying, "Here's my dollar. What can I get for my dollar? If this is the quality that I'll get, that's what I want." But people are going to cut that quality, and obviously that's something they don't want. You're giving people the best value they're going to find.
Yes, guaranteed.
Very, very guaranteed. Why would you say then somebody should choose your company? What really sets you apart? What are the things that you think that gives you the advantage over your competitors?
Well, you know, I go above and beyond. I handle everything myself, and you communicate with me from start to finish. And I see to it personally that everything's done to the customer's liking and standards, and that they get everything that they want and the way they want it, the way they pictured it, and the way it's supposed to be done.
And that's what you get when you work directly with an owner of a company who's also you're also are you the one also doing a lot of the work too? You're in the field
I do a lot of the work.
swinging the hammer
Yes.
and doing the what is your specialty of all the different tasks there are that need to be done? You're the foreman, you're the general contractor, but what do you enjoy doing mostly in the field?
I enjoy building the most. We do a lot of renovations, but I would rather build more.
Okay.
You know, I've built $500,000 homes.
Really?
You know, from start to finish. You know, all the way
Foundation,
from foundation up.
the studs, the walls,
Yep.
paint, and the roof.
Roofing and all. You know, I prefer not to because it's really hard on your back.
Which
You
part?
know,
The roofing?
I'm in my 40s now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I try to not do as much as the hard labor, but yeah, I'll get right in there with the guys and do what it takes to get it done and make sure everything's going right. I work side by side with them. You know, there's not too many jobs that you won't see me out there with my tool bag on and making sure everything's right.
So you're one of the guys that will actually go out there and do the work, as well as you're the foreman, but you're also in there making things fit, cutting pieces,
Yes, sir.
and making sure $500,000 houses. That's a lot of
Yeah.
that's a lot of house to do from scratch, including the foundation. Building a house from foundation all the way to the roof. Of all the things that need to get done, what do you find to be the most hard work?
Well, the hardest work, I believe, is probably the roofing.
Okay.
The roofing or cement. For some reason, cement always works me. I
Well,
don't.
cement's very heavy. Very heavy, right?
But
that makes sense.
yeah. But I'd have to say roofing's probably the hardest on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but you can do it all the way from setting windows to
Oh yes.
putting up wallboard to painting, gutters. You've got it all, and you've done that all the work. And you've got
Yes,
a crew
sir.
that will help you for all the pieces.
Yes.
You let the roof, your buddy, the guys who work for you, they'll do the roof part for you.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. You might see me out there putting some on if I have to, but usually not anymore.
Well, that makes sense. Hey, do what you love, and the money will come. But if the things you don't love, find somebody that you can trust and get them to
That's
do the work
it.
for you.
You
right?
know, and I don't work anybody that I can't trust. You know, if they're not professional at getting it done, then of course they're not going to be up there putting shingles on a house.
Yeah. Well.
Amen.
Yeah. How selective is it for you? I mean, you come from a small town. Is that where you grew up?
Yes.
And a lot of your work, but you go, and how far do you travel to do?
We usually stay within an hour
Okay.
from the residence, but we did go up and do a hail damage job that was 2 hours away
Okay.
up in Crawford County because they had some big hail that had come through there.
Right.
We had to go up there and do a hail restoration job because they had like softball size hail up there.
Holy cow!
I mean, the
size.
biggest I'd ever seen.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
So 2 hours, and that's from where you were at. And where's your town that you're
In
based at?
Blueford,
What's
Illinois.
that closest to? How far is that? It's about an hour and a half from St. Louis.
It's an hour and a half from St. Louis, about 10 miles from Mount Vernon, Illinois.
Mount Vernon. Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
we know that area.
Yeah.
And good part of the country.
Jefferson County.
Now, do you get close to where you're still? Is it mostly Cardinals still over there, or you get some Cubs fans, or what? Who do they cheer for over there?
Well, mostly Cardinals.
Good. All right.
They're
smart.
close enough to St. Louis, and you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Chicago's 3 or 4 hours still up the road a little bit.
Yeah, we got some Cubs fans in the family, but mostly Cardinals.
Well, tell those Cubs fans that I say thank you. We love the Cubs, because Cardinals wouldn't have all these World Series rings if it wasn't for the Cubs. Is that
Right.
right? We appreciate that. Well, tell me, we talked a little bit about it, but what is the biggest mistake that the average consumer makes? There's a lot that goes into any kind of construction job, whether it's the roof, siding, the basement, the foundation, or just remodeling, kitchens, baths. What is the biggest mistake you see that people make?
As far as the customers or the consumers,
Yeah,
or
what is the biggest mistake they're making?
hiring the cheapest guy out there.
Don't get the cheapest, right?
Yeah, because they want to get 3 or 4, different contracts, and they want to go with the cheapest.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that they're not getting everything they're supposed to get by hiring the cheapest guy, because you can get a job done and cut corners, like you were saying, and they're not getting everything they need, but it actually looks like that because they've left a few things out. And so, or their finished product's not what it's supposed to be, and they
Yeah.
end up with lesser and have to pay more in the long run
Right.
and call somebody to fix it.
They're saving a few bucks up front, and then as we talk about cheap, it gets very expensive. We mentioned that before, but write that one down. That's not the way to do things because
No.
they're cutting corners. Where do you see people try to cut corners the most?
Well, using less materials, or say if it's a metal roof, for instance, you know, you see it all the time. You've got a metal roof on a house that don't have accessories, you know, and the closures and vents and the stuff that actually seals out the elements, you know, that keeps the rain from running and blowing in, and they don't use them components.
These are things
You
you
know,
should not cut corners
Correct, or they'll slack on the building materials, you know, less insulation or less framing, you know, not enough 2x4s of the wrong size board because they're cheaper, you know, or something that's not thick enough, it's not going to hold up, you know, and they don't the customer don't understand, well, I just paid somebody to do this 5 years ago, now it's leaking or it's falling in.
Yeah,
You know.
because they were cutting corners. Now, what would cause something to leak because they didn't? What were they doing? What did they didn't finish it correctly, or how did they end up getting to where a leak would come about?
Well, correct. Or, you know, it was a guy, say if it's a roof, for instance, they're putting nails where they don't belong. Or like if it's a metal roof, you've got certain closures. And I had a metal manufacturer tell me, well, nobody ever orders those around here. I'm like, what? I mean, you're telling me they
They're
don't,
just saying,
they
do
don't,
it. That's just the way they do it. They don't do it right.
right. So I'm like, that's what keeps the water from blowing in. Why wouldn't they order those pieces? Well, they cost too much.
If it costs
And-
too much, then just skip it. No, that's what they're-
Well, you know, you think this little foam piece that goes in between the main roof and the ridge is not needed, but that's a crucial piece. You know, of course, it takes time to put it in, and they're only a few dollars a piece, but whenever you add it up times 100 pieces,
and the labor involved to do that.
and, you know, they're saving a lot of money. But the customer don't know
Yeah,
until
so I say, how would the customer know what should be done? or
until the
what-
water enters their house.
until they see the water coming
You
in.
know.
It may be a couple of weeks till the first storm comes through.
But yeah, and just certain accessories, if it, you know, if it's siding or lumber, you know, they're not using as much as they should.
And again, back to that's why you've got to check the reputation for the construction company working on this. So somebody look at the work that Tad has done here, you'll see that everybody says he's got good work because you don't know you're not standing over somebody's shoulder. And if you were standing over somebody's shoulder, you wouldn't necessarily know that what they were doing was the right way to be doing it. It's where you've gotten on somebody's reputation and history.
Right.
And that A+ rating on the BBB, everybody. That's what you're looking for. So that's why we want to highlight the leaders that are doing a good job. That's why we decided to have Tad come in and meet us here on a Sunday. We record this, our studio's open every day, including Sundays, because we want to highlight those leaders. What works best for our schedule and for theirs. Thank you for coming in here. We're going to spend another half hour. We're going to learn a lot more from Tad here. We get into times he's really helped some people and some other exciting stuff that he does to set his business apart. Stay tuned for more, everybody. Giddy up.